Well, Coach Giles, welcome to the Meeting of the Minds. Glad you could join me on Memorial Day to kind of put our brains together and see what we can come up with and hear a little bit about what you guys going on down at your school and talk a little bit about the mental side of soccer. So start us off. Just give us a couple minutes of your background, just, a quick little snapshot into, what led you to the spot that you're at now and what are some of the ways that soccer or, sports in general have helped develop you as an individual.
Yeah. Well, I was working in Ireland with Waterford United, and it was 8 years like in the professional leagues back home. And that was when we called what we called the Celtic Tiger and the boom at that time where the economy was flying. And I was always at that stage, like I had done with the pro players, the semi-pro players, the pro players. I had done all my UEFA licenses and stuff, and I was just had worked part-time with the Football Association of Ireland. And I was at that stage in life where I wanted to do something different, a different challenge. And America always appealed, not knowing Nashville, Tennessee, where I was going to end up. But by chance, I was up doing some work with the FAI, doing a goalkeeping clinic. And I just got speaking to a gentleman by the name of Anthony O'Gorman, who had a connection at Montgomery Academy. And it really rolled from there. So before I knew the whole thing, there was a 2-year deal on the table about Waterford United, and I just said, no, I'm not signing. I'm going to the States. It was just like that, boom. So I took my good wife, who has been my rock through all our years, and she just said, let's do it. So I had one son at Dean at the time. He was 7, so up we went, up sticks and went, man. We landed in Nashville, Tennessee. Came to Montgomery Academy. It was a different, like a culture shock. The mentality of the Irish, as you know, are a little bit head on that way, and we only know one way, as they say. So really from that angle, I had to learn and grow and understand that confrontation is not always the right way, and you have to kind of peel back a little bit, pull back a tad, and to try and understand and see where these young kids were coming from. So from that end, that's where it was. I played at a high level in Ireland while there. They represented my country on a number of occasions as well, at schoolboy international level. Just played with great intensity, played with great passion. And if I were to do it all again, I would, same way you'd go about it, but I would train a lot smarter than what I did, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I think all of us in hindsight look back and see there's extra elevations that we had to climb that probably could have been avoided with a little bit of forethought, or sometimes just those around us don't always know the best way. And, sports are always evolving, always changing. I'm sure that you're like you kind of talked about there, your coaching philosophies have changed a little bit and grown a little bit, probably partly from your transition directly.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, from where I started, I guess I always say we, because it's not always about me. I say we. I think that like this bullheadedness and this in your face and that old school kind of mentality type of thing had to change with how you treat players. It's respect, it's humility. You treat those as you'd like to be treated. And then you find that okay, there's going to be times when you might have to jump on them a little bit if the standards are dropping, if the intensity of practice may not be what you expect, but you pull them in and talk to them in a civil way rather than that way. And that's the way we were taught, like in your face. And for all that, I mean, the coach education stuff has been tremendous over the last 15 years, how it's developed and everything, So you're really getting coaches to understand that players are human and that they all have feelings and that they don't like to be pulled out in front of others. And I've done it, I've pulled players, laid into players in the wrong way. And I'll be the first to say it now that I was wrong. But you live and learn, and you don't do it again. And I think another big issue on this, or a big thing for me, is reflection. I'm in the car going home after practice. It's been a great practice. Straight away, I'm thinking, how are the players? Did I say anything to any player that upset? How was such a player? How was the captain? How was that? So the relationships and the bond that that you're growing with all these lads it's fun. And that's the other side of it. It has to be fun, challenging, fun, and enjoyable.
I would agree with you wholeheartedly on all those points. One of the things I have found is that coaches that are able to create the most mentally strong athletes have a few characteristics in common. And one of those is they model a lot of the things that athletes should be trying to do mentally. And a couple of pieces that I hear you saying that I would agree with really wholeheartedly is one, that reflection piece, right? I'm always reflecting. I'm always looking to get better. I'm always looking to improve. That journey to improvement never stops. Also, that piece of like mistakes are going to happen, right? I think athletes that really struggle, especially when it comes to like transition periods, jumping from, let's say, being a good youth player to high school, or a good high school player to college, or college to pros.
Yeah.
Typically, it's those that aren't able to realize, like, I'm going to make mistakes. I'm not going to be perfect. It's not about the pursuit of perfection. It's about me just constantly learning those lessons.
And that's the thing. Like, we're a process. We're a journey. We're all on a journey, and like, you're going to have dips in your performance. You're going to have a poor practice, but if your mindset is right, where you're going out looking for quality, and you're getting the reps in, and everyone is like as good as the last, better than the last, and there's going to be one or two passes that goes just like the quarterback, and I say to the players, fellas, look, find feet, just take care of the first touch, and then you're taking the touch out of pressure. But if I'm a quarterback and I'm looking for the receiver, put it on him, like give him a chance. It's the same way with the pass. If you see that he's going on a forward motion, put it on his front leg. Don't put it behind him. Now, for all that, the player has to be able to adjust and anticipate that, okay, well, if it's not a bad pass, if it's not a great pass, I have to be able to tweak and torque my body and open my body up for the receiver and turn it into a good pass. So it's part of. But I think it's the mind, how you set the tone in practice, and the expectations and what you want from the players, and how you deliver it is a big part of it as well. You demo it, and then you have to go over it again. And it's a lot of patience involved in it as well, I guess, from us. Because, as one of the teachers said to me one day, Dick Clausen at the school, Coach K, great guy, and he'd be kind of a mentor for me. To the point, he said, Giles, he said, like old wisdom, he said, they don't know till you show. And I thought it was great words of advice, and I said, yeah, spot on. So that brought it back for me, and I said, okay, we've got to continually show them and show them and show them. And eventually, and it's wisdom with yourself as well, and you're learning as you go, but you're passing all this on to the students and on to the players. And you're just telling them some little life experiences that we had as players, or situations that we might have had in life, and you're relating those into them. And, you're making sense. Well, hopefully it's talking with one or two of them, or they're taking it on board. And they tell us some great stuff as well. We can learn so much from the kids as well, but just listen to those, that they can tell us some things that may be going on in their life. And I think that's the other side with coaches as well. Become a better listener. We just listen rather than giving the answer. Just listen. So they're things that I'm trying to really work on now as I'm coming on the other side of it. And that's the thing I'd be saying to coaches, younger coaches in particular, that I have a chance to kind of have just a relationship with. I said, fellas, just listen to your players. Make sure you're good communication. Keep it simple, but just listen to them, and just try and keep your eyes open to see when there's a lull, if they're off in practice, or if they're not having a good practice, if there's something, if they're missing a couple of practices, okay, switch in here, there's something going on here, let's talk to them, let's see what's happening. So they're little things that, that we'd be picking up on.
Yep, no, 100%. I've always gone into coaching and teaching with the philosophy of without a significant relationship, there can be no significant learning. And really, if I'm going to have a significant relationship, I can't just go to practice and be thinking, oh, I need to get the players to do X, Y, and Z, right? I need to be thinking about, how am I deepening my bond, my relationship? How am I getting to know them better? And then those other things are going to start coming into place. Because I always think about those teachable moments, those moments where like something happens and you have that opportunity to make that point you've been looking for. And in that moment, it's really only, I think, effective if you've already built that relationship going in. If you show up and that player's already been thinking, like, this guy doesn't care about me, doesn't know who I am as an individual, he doesn't have my best interest, he just wants to see us win. That's it. I think in that moment, it's really hard to get that buy-in. Yeah. In that moment where you have the chance to, like, really alter that player's, athletic trajectory and hopefully personal trajectory as well.
Absolutely. I mean, those moments there where it's a great feeling when you click on that coachable moment, that teacher moment. It's worth all the frustrations and everything we go, and you've nailed it. You've hit home, and that to me is what it's about. We all like to win and stuff, but at the end of the day, it's not. Is it really about winning? And I talk to the boys here like about the team that lost the state championship in 2013, and we lost it heartbreakingly and stuff. And when I think back and reflect on it, I'll never forget. You had 22 players in our group. And you had the assistant coach, who was a phenomenal coach, Alan McCorn. He had just transitioned from soccer, from playing, which he was a heck of a player. Still is. He's with our program today as well. And Alan was down on his knees, and everybody was devastated. I had players just down on their knee. We lost it in double overtime. So, and I remember asking the man above just to guide me through to say the right things here with these boys. And it was an amazing experience, just having to pull a group of lads that were devastated and pull them in together. I have no clue what I said in that little huddle to those boys, but whatever it was, we were able to get up and go, and we took it on the chin and moved on. Sorry, I think there was someone trying to get through me with Walgreens. I think trying to get through to me there. So they're powerful moments that no money in the world can buy, and that's what I think coaching, for me, is all about. At that moment, we had just lost the state championship. It was a test from me, and that was to say the right things to those kids, and I hope to God I did.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm lucky in the sense of I love when these kids come back for a cup of coffee if they're back from college and they're coming and say, "Hey, coach, I'm in town. Do you fancy coming for a bite to eat or a cup of coffee or whatever?" That and that relationship that's lovely. That's what it's all about,
Yeah, no, for sure. And it's one of those things that can make coaching and teaching difficult, because sometimes you don't see those moments of that impact until maybe months, years later, where they come back and they mention something like it is a crazy experience. I had this one kid I was coaching. I was a very young coach at the time, and it was a wrestler that I was coaching him in, and I think I described it something like, I was like, right now it's kind of like you're learning to talk, and it's like you got some of the words, but you don't know how to connect them. You don't know those fillers to be able to make it a really complete sentence. And it was just kind of like one of those lines that I used to try to keep him motivated. And like I talked to his dad at the end of the year at the banquet, and he mentioned that, and he quoted it like from what I had said, and like one of those moments where it's like, man, that right there really hit that kid and really was impactful for him. And those are those really, really cool coaching moments.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree with you. Pretty cool. Superb. Yeah.
All right. So you've played at all levels. You've coached at, all levels. When you look at athletes, like, the mental side of the sport, do you see it is basically the same, let's say high school to pros or youth to pros, or are there big differences between the different levels and what the athletes struggle with or need to be successful?
The higher level up you go, the players they have a stronger mental toughness and an ability to hang in there in difficult moments. I think for young kids, we're trying to grow those moments, and like again, it's coaching opportunities, or it could be like during the practice, something could happen where there's a misplaced pass and the kid, you can see the body language of the kid, he drops through it, but it could be a second one happen in quick succession. And you might pull them aside and say, "Hey, come here, back into green zone, red zone." And for me, a little cue was I always said, like, the red is after a mistake, the green, then you get back into the positive thinking straight away. So just let it go. And you'll see when kids are upset and the practice is not going the way they want it. And I think that's a great moment to be able to teach them a little bit of ability to hang in, a little bit of toughness. And, hey, this is okay. This is part of the process here. This is normal. What's happening? If everything was perfect, you're never going to be challenged. And this is part of the process here. If I want to become a soccer player, an athlete, or whatever it is, I've got to go through those frustrations, through that process. Like a typical example for me right now, and it's funny, is watching all these little kids. Sorry, these things coming up. Did I lose you there? My apologies. Sorry.
Just the camera. I know. Everybody, you're a busy guy, Giles. Everyone wants to get a hold of you.
Everyone's trying to get a hold of me. I got your back? Sorry, Jake. I got your back?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. And you can hear me?
Yep.
Okay, but I think one of the funny moments at the minute is with all these virtual stuff going on with the coaching and giving kids juggles or foot skills and little things to work with. It's very interesting to watch some of these kids because they say, "Coach, I can't do it. I can't do it." And I said, "What do you mean?" And he said, "Well, I can't juggle the ball." And I said, "Can you get one?" And he said, "Yeah." "Can you get two?" "Yeah." "Well, you're juggling the ball." So I said, "Now, work to get 5, work to get 10, and just persevere with it." So they're out there and they're sending me videos now. All of a sudden, he's doing 20. and then you could be doing 25 or 30. That's progress. And that's a little thing like, hey, stick with it here. Keep at it. Work through the frustrations. It's part of. So that's a simple little one I could get, I could give you there. In relation to mistakes, recovering back from a mistake, everybody makes mistakes. In games, it's normal.
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing some video stuff with our teams there over the last couple of weeks, and we've been watching some of the high-level games. And you saw Real Madrid; these are players that are making top money, and they're playing Ajax in one of the games there last year in the Champions League, and they have a throw-in, and from the throw-in they turn it over, and Ajax go and break and score. And I said to the kids, "What do you think there?" And they're looking at me, and I said, "Where did the goal come from? A mistake." I said, "Okay, now how does he respond from that? He's got to wipe that clean straight away and refocus back into the next moment." So there'd be little things like that you'd be teaching the kids and stuff, For me personally, when I messed up, I was very, very hard on myself as well. And I think I've learned through just through the process and learned through my own mistakes, really, my own lessons, that being too hard on myself, don't beat yourself up on it. Trust yourself, get back into practice, get going again and recover and wipe it away as quickly as you can. Mistakes are part of.
Yeah, 100%. We use a concept called the reset button to help with, as we frame it, moments of adversity or challenge. And they could be a mistake. They could be your opponent just doing something really well. There could be, you fall flat on your face in the middle of the soccer field in front of 10,000 people. Just some sort of physical gesture that is a way to reset me back to zero. Which is that exact thing. Like you're saying, wipe the slate clean and be able to move forward. And I think it's really impactful to, number one, break down what are all the mistakes or moments of adversity or challenge that could pop up during a soccer game. Because, if we sat down and I think in 2 minutes, we could probably come up with 95% of the things that could go wrong in soccer. Whether it's, I just totally flub the pass and it goes behind the guy I'm passing it to or to an opponent. It could be I mess up the throw in. I mess up the corner kick. Right?
Yep.
Mess up the PK, right? The goaltender misses the ball. I mean, and it could be going up for a header and totally missing it or catching it right on the nose.
Yeah.
Those moments are pretty finite. Like, sure, there might be some really weird circumstances, but for the most part, there's only so many things that are going to typically go wrong during a game. And by directly looking at those ahead of time and helping athletes prepare for them, even down to like what happens if your opponent does something dirty and why are they doing that? Why are they grabbing your jersey, which is probably they're trying to frustrate you or they're trying to get you to retaliate because that's normally the player that gets caught.
Well, it's funny you say that because I'd be saying to our boys, excuse me, if we've got a good little side, we'd have a decent little side and I'd say to the fellas, look, fellas, I'll kick you. If I'm playing against you, I'm going to kick you. I'm going to try and get at you to upset you. But that's a compliment. You don't respond. You just by how you respond is by playing better and putting the ball in the back of the net. And it's a compliment. When people are kicking you like that, they have to try and stop you in some way. And if I can get inside your head and if I can rattle you in any way, I'm going to try and do it to you because if I feel that there's a little weakness there, I'm going to try and find it. And if you're a better technical player than me, well, I'm in trouble. So I have to try and find something on you quickly that I can settle. So in the first 10 to 15 minutes of a game, I'd be saying to the boys, hey, compete. Get in and get after it straight away. Play our game. Don't get involved in any nitty-gritty little those slippy little tackles or anything. If the referee says something, no argument with the referee. Stay in the game. Stay in the game. And then you would talk to your leaders in the group as well. So you have 2 or 3 stronger characters and say, fellas, pull the rest of the group with you here. So they're all kind of helping each other in there and stuff. And if there is a moment, pull them in, pull them away straight away. Everyone just away. No messing. Yeah, and I've taken players off the field if I've seen that they've been disrespectful to referees or been disrespectful to the opponent, pull them out of the game straight away, sit them down and bench them and talk to them for a bit. So it's to me, if you look at the mental side of it, it's a belief, it's a confidence within myself, and it's no matter what, that you no self-doubt, and it's a hunger and a desire to push through any difficulty. Any adversity, and I think the great thing about the game of soccer in the centre of any sport is that if we lose a game or if we lose a goal early on, don't panic here, fellas. We've still got 60, 70 minutes to pull it through. Let's try and that's the thing. Don't panic. Let's play our game and let's get in on it. Let's go again. Let's try and see, can we play our game? you know?
Yeah, it's very similar. We call it predator mindset, which is all about focusing on what you can control. Because predator animals got their eyes in front, like a lion, a tiger. Prey animals have their eyes in the side. And prey animals are looking to react. They give up that goal early. Oh, no, we're down. Oh, man, that player is really fast. Oh, this guy keeps messing with me. Predator is more like, I just want the ball, and I'm looking for who am I passing to? Who's open? All right, where's the hole? Where am I open?
Yeah, like that.
And by, I really like using that language because it helps kids focus on, predator thoughts and prey thoughts and break it down in a nice little simple binary, which really can be effective. Because we all know
it's funny you say that. I use the same the hunter or the hunted, which you prefer to be.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, like when the kids will say, I think I prefer to be the hunter, coach, and I say, okay, right, me too. I want to chase you down. I'm getting after you, and that's an interesting one as well, And I enjoy saying that to the boys just to see what type of person I'm dealing with here. If someone says, yeah, I don't mind a bit of pressure on me, I'm good for it. Like I'll be the hunted. And it's interesting when kids say that as well, So, yeah, I mean, and that's the thing about it as well, that we have great opportunities in our practices to create a couple of little mental learning opportunities, So that's the thing, like we're coaching on the spin, but we're also teaching a couple of little mental opportunities during the practice as well.
Yeah, and those are those pieces that translate over into life, and it's everybody that's ever been a coach that I've ever met has always talked about the importance of sports to grow great people.
Yeah.
But I look at it, I had a really good throw-in. I was the throw-in guy on my soccer team in high school because I'm strong. I could throw the ball in really far, really, really accurately. But that never got me a job, right? That's never
a great attacking tool to have, though.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Weapon.
The mental pieces of soccer, the mental pieces of wrestling, the mental pieces of running for me, those were the things that have helped me in life, whether it was, in college classes or whether it was, asking my wife out originally, right? Or those moments of going out and getting a career, being able to walk into an interview with confidence, knowing, hey, I may answer a question wrong. That's okay. I can recover from that. And those.
But I think what's very interesting in that, though, Jake, is when you break it down, if you're in a team game compared to an individual like sport, like wrestling, wrestling blows my mind in the sense of when I see a guy in a ring, a circle, he has nowhere to go, only through that guy in front of him. And he's going to get hammered. He cannot hide. Even when he's getting pounded or whatever, he's got to hang in there. In a soccer game, I think you can deflect it a little bit. You can cover up a couple of little things as such. The ball won't be coming to you, and if it does, you can play a simple pass and just get yourself out of trouble until you kind of play yourself back in again and get a little bit more confident, and then you can take a little risk or so. Whereas in wrestling, I think, or an individual sport, you've got to play that past everyone. It's coming on you continually. Does that make sense?
No, entirely. Yeah, it is. There's no one to count on but you, and there's nowhere really to hide. Right?
Yeah.
It's all out there. There's very, very little to deflect attention from you. But one of the things I remember with soccer that I think mentally, and tell me if you would agree with this, that is sometimes a struggle is the trust aspect. With wrestling, I don't got to worry about anybody else, right? I go to practice. If other people are working hard, it's like, all right, that doesn't matter. They won't be out there with me. If I go to a match and somebody's wrestling poorly, somebody's eating junk, it's like, that doesn't really impact me as the wrestler. All right, I'm going to be out there on the mat with just me and my opponent, and everything that I've done to prep is good for me. On soccer, though, we got to have, everybody on the field has got to be working as a unit. And I got to trust that if I pass, you're not just going to lose the ball. And, as a forward, you got to trust defense is going to do their job. And, as the defense, you got to trust, we're going to stop everything we can here, but the goalie's got our back. And if I mess up, he's got one last shot. Talk to me a little bit about that teamwork and that trust that needs to exist on a strong soccer team.
You can hear me. I'm struggling to hear you a little bit.
Okay.
See, it's down a small bit. When we say trust, I mean, what I say to the boys is it's 11 on 11. And then during the little team talk, we'll be talking about confidence, control of emotions, commitment to the cause, and a belief in yourselves, but a belief in your teammate. Trust that your guy's going to be next to you. Give him the ball. Just trust him, and that flows into each other. Where if he makes a mistake, pull them with you. Say, hey, come on, it's okay. I'll be there for you next time. And I think it's trusting starts for me in the practices, where the players can see what they're at, how they're going, where the work rate, and the camaraderie and the friendship and stuff and all this. And it's building the relationship. You know, I think that's where that starts. And then, okay, you're in game time, and just show for the ball. Be brave and show for the ball. Don't be afraid to make a mistake. Trust each other. Trust your teammates. And if it's not going the way you want it, well, fellas, what are we going to do about it here? How do we get out of it? So you're asking them then to find a solution. And they'll give you the answers and say, well, we've got to fight, we've got to pull together, we've got to work for each other, we've got to show that we're all committed. There you go. So let's grind it out here. Let's dig a result out of it. And one of the best, I think, times for any team is when they're in difficult situations like that. It's a great time to learn. That's a great a teaching moment for the whole team, not just individual, but for the whole team. Especially when they're not playing well, they might be down a goal. Do they panic? Do they settle themselves down and say, okay, and that's where the 2 or 3 leaders in the group will get a hold of the ball and say, fellas, let's settle ourselves down here. Let's play. Let's just go play. And sometimes it's like the weight is off. Well, fellas, look, we can't play any worse. Let's just grind it out here and go. And they could have a good 20 minutes, and it could just all click, you know. So that's really where I see a lot of that. But in relation to trust, I think it starts in the practice. It starts with the friendship. It starts with the camaraderie, and then it starts obviously in the game time. You go do it and just believe in each other, you know.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, I love the teamwork aspect of soccer. It was one of my favorite sports to play with other people. It's beautiful to be out there and have 11 people all doing the same thing, all focused on helping each other. It's a cool experience to be part of. All right, to finish this up, one of the things I'm always interested in is where different coaches see the major mental mistakes coming in. Right, so like,
say that again to me. No, where different coaches see what?
What are the most detrimental mental mistakes that different athletes have? So if you were going to look at, an athlete, what would be the mental mistakes you would hope that they avoid, during the season or during their soccer career, or the mental mistakes they have to grow through? Because everybody's going to face them at some point.
Yeah.
So like, what are the things that they're going to have to really struggle through to rise to that next level?
Well, I think a lot of it is on a lot for me depends on your lifestyle and where you are and how if you're disciplined, self-disciplined. And I think if you can try and keep things as simple as possible off the court or off the soccer field, or if you're not going out and you're partying, if you're not going out, if you're getting to bed on time, doing all the little things outside of the practice time or game time. And if that kind of jumps in on your sporting, say going to practice, you're not fully focused in the practice, you had a breakup with your girlfriend, you had an issue at home with mom and dad, or there's something else, one of your friends got into trouble, you're not fully focused and you're not bringing that completely into practice time or into game time. So you have to kind of set those aside and kind of really tune it. Now, when those type of things happen, I think that's the real test of character. That's where the real strength comes in. Can I park it and be able to go in and play and put that aside and deal with that moment when it's after the game or after the occasion? But I think that when we talk about mental preparation, it's a lot of it is your diet, nutrition, all that type of thing. Every little piece of the jigsaw helps. I think positive self-talk. I think lose your self-doubt. A lot of we all have self-doubt. I mean, I like talking to boys, talking to coaches as well. In big games, do you ever doubt yourself? And they say, yeah, all the time. So what is it? Like they said, butterflies and just don't be afraid to make mistakes. Just go play. Just play. Stop overthinking it here and just go for it. And if a mistake occurs, get on with it. Just play. Because once you cross that white line, or once you cross that court, a lot of times it's on you to deliver it, and just you've done this since you've been a little kid. So just trust yourself. And mistakes are part of the journey, and just recover, recover as quick as you can. That's what I'd be saying. Does that make sense?
No, completely. And I think the positive mental side or the positive self-talk is really important. one of the things that I'm a big believer in is, you've either prepared yourself mentally for a game or you haven't. Just the same way as your technique. I can't fake technique when I get in the field. I've either practiced, that corner kick, and we've run through that drill over and over till everybody knows the role, knows where to be, and knows what to do. I think mentally it's the same thing. We're either getting more mentally strong, we're either getting more positive with our mentality. And that's what I look at with most people that can deal with mistakes effectively.
Yeah.
They have trained themselves to be so positive that even when the negative happens, they only need a couple seconds to be able to recover from it. Because every day they've been building their confidence. Every day they're telling themselves why they're good. Every day they're doing things right, and specifically telling themselves, I went to bed on time. I ate correctly. I got that extra run in. I made sure I didn't have stress because I got my homework done, so I'm not worried about tests, right? Yeah. I don't have toxic people in my life, right? I'm making sure that everything around me makes it easy for me to be positive. And those are the people that I find tend to be able to recover from the mistake best.
That's organized. They're disciplined people, organized people, and here's the thing. Then you said to yourself, at what age do kids start figuring that out? 13, 14, 15, I would think maybe a little bit older, maybe 15 years of age. Like at our school, we talk about the 7th and 8th graders, that they're in that stage where they're going to have some success, but they're going to have failure as well. And it's okay to fail at that age. But now all of a sudden, when you're going into the high school thing, it's kind of, okay, now it's time here. I'm at that older stage now, I'm ready to roll. But for all that, the expectations that we put on these young kids, they're only kids. Like 13, 14, 15, 16, even 17, 18, the expectations that we put on a lot of our students, and I think we have to protect them. And we've got, as coaches, we've got to be there and listen to them and understand and say, look, okay, you're in a little bit of you know it yourself. How do you feel you're doing? And so he might say, well, I don't think I'm playing well. I've got this, and what's going on? And well, I've got a lot of stuff going on at school, and obviously, my girlfriend, we just broke up, and straight away, bang, you're saying, okay, do we need to take a break from practice for a little bit? And they said, no, and maybe a day off. Just go off and try and sort your problem out, or go and study. But like I'd say to them, hey, make sure now, if I'm giving you the day off, let's get the studying done. Let's get that preparation done. Then you might come back with a clearer mind. And I've done that with a number of the students. When there's stuff going on, just try and free them up a tad, because it can be too much pressure, and that's where the enjoyment and all that goes out of it. And mistakes happen, as you know, under pressure with everything. In everyday life, we all make mistakes when we're not thinking clearly, and we've got 5 things going on at once, and we can't juggle, and then we try and prioritize.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's one of the other things that I've learned. Sometimes we forget exactly what it's like to be kids, right? And we forget what it's like to be out there on the field of competition and have a lot of stuff going on. And trying to find ways to remind ourselves that, this isn't just a kid issue. There's adults that struggle with these kind of things every single day and fail, right?
Absolutely.
And it's like the same with a mental health day, which is, in my mind, what you're describing by saying take a day off practice, get some stuff taken care of, get your mind in a good spot, and come back ready to participate. I think we as adults sometimes forget that we're very similar. Right? I'm not different than a kid. I just have more experiences, right? I've just lived longer. Mentally, I'm basically the same, right? Which I know for myself, one of the things I try to do, I do long distance running now as my kind of competitive activity. And one of the things I love about it is the fact that I still get those nerves and jitters before races. And it reminds me directly, all right, all these athletes I'm working with, all these teams, this is what they're feeling every time.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think we forget the overwhelming, sensation of I'm about ready to compete for this goal that I've been really, really training for. Yeah. It's really powerful if we can keep that in mind. It just helps us relate to them a lot better.
Absolutely. And I think once you're putting the time in and the work into everything, and excuse me, that's where the trust and the confidence and your inner belief, and say, look, hey, I've done this. I'm doing this over, and I can only do my best. And once you give your best, that's all you can do. And there's going to be people out there who are going to beat you. Okay, but I know I've given everything that I've given, that was available to me, that I've done everything possible. That's all you can do. And speaking of the mental health thing, it's becoming obviously, a huge say issue, but a concern right now, because finally it's all kind of starting to come out there that we're human here, that people have feelings, and we can't always kind of have a shield up here and be brave and strong as we're supposed to be all the time, I guess, as men. And for me, I know I do a lot of mindful meditation. I find it brilliant. We've done yoga at the school as well. I find that phenomenal. And I know that the students, all the boys love it. But I think that's like, it's your time. If you can take 20 minutes a day just to kind of breathe, take a couple of deep breaths, even at the traffic lights in the car, I'm there and and I feel like, oh, this is heaven. And it's just a simple little thing, but and it just takes you away, takes you out of that moment. It's the same in game situations, tight game, you're on the line. Are you calm, or are you screaming and ranting and raving at players? Are you keeping your composure? Because the players feed off of that as well, you know? But, and that's where I think listening to people, understanding how people are, and there's the other side of it too, but you have to balance it. You can't kind of go all lolly and all soft, but I think once people know you care about them, you know, and that you want the best for them, I think, and that's trust and understanding and the compassion, I think is very, very important in today. I think it's very important, you know, across the board with everybody. You know?
Yeah. I always try to think about it. I'm always oscillating between love and intensity, right? I love you really strongly as my player, but I'm going to be really intense because I really want to see you push well.
Yeah.
I think that's really big, really powerful.
Yeah. So we meet somewhere in the middle and let's get the best out of it here, and we push each other on, you know?
Exactly. And I think that mental health piece, whether it's deep breathing exercises, which can be great, or yoga, or, you know, running, or whatever it is, athletes or individuals do, I think it's really important, because we're going to deal with stress. Like, we're going to deal with stress. We're either going to do it effectively or we're going to do it ineffectively. And that's where you see, I think, a lot of young people, you know, get involved with drugs or alcohol or, you know, bad lifestyles. It's because they don't have appropriate ways to deal with that stress. And like teaching athletes at a young age, you know, middle school and up, that like how to deal with that stress effectively is, I think, really impactful. And again, not just about making them great players, but great people.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Giles, I've really enjoyed this morning. A lot of great nuggets of wisdom on your part, and love to connect again at some point in the future. But thanks for jumping on with me. I appreciate it. Jake. And you have a good Memorial Day.
Pleasure. Yes, so enjoy the rest of your day. All right. Thank you. See ya. Bye-bye.